many times, eh? So
Okay.
it's really not the
All
first
right.
time. Yeah.
So
Okay.
you
Okay,
are the pro.
Ah,
can you just give me some tips, one or two?
just be comfortable. Like talk. You see, I don't know you guys, but I'm just talking like I've known you. So act like you know everyone, and just be free. Because the more you overthink that these are strangers, what they're gonna say,
Yeah.
your thoughts will start overwhelming you. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're gonna be live on YouTube and people are gonna be watching me, it's not helping.
I get you.
But I'll be
Don't
fine.
think about it.
You'll be fine.
Okay, girl, can I just take this and confirm if we are live, if everything is fine?
Okay.
Yeah. Was good, my side.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, we are live on YouTube now. So we will start at
Okay.
6:45. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Mamello, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to our webinar, Women in Tech. My name is Mamello Mokoena, and I'm thrilled to be your host today. I'm really excited to see some of you guys here already, all eager to learn, share, and grow together. So, today we've got some inspiring session lined up, and I'm so honored to be part of this important conversation about empowering women in the tech industry. So, just to share a little bit about myself, I am a software developer and a mentor at Melsoft Academy. My journey into the tech industry started less than 2 years ago. Um, Coming from a background as a qualified artisan with no background in coding or tech, I just decided to switch careers, completed some short courses, built my project, and eventually I landed my first job as a software developer. And let me tell you, it was the best decision I ever made. And it just proves that it's never too late to make a change and start a new path. So, this webinar is as much for you as it is for me, an opportunity to learn more about this industry and just to get some insights from some of the best in the industry. Because today I have the best for you guys. So, this webinar, it is hosted by Melsoft Academy. So, you'll be wondering what is Melsoft Academy? So, Melsoft Academy is an academy that has few boot camps in place. Um, we have software engineering boot camp, we have cybersecurity boot camp, and we have UI UX design. We also have the job readiness course. That is where we prepare you for applying for jobs and how to get ready, how to prepare for your interviews, and all that. And then we also have fees. The courses come at a fee. This is our prospectus, by the way, and you can get the link in the comment section to download it. And just to find out more about what we offer, and job readiness course, you can just download it and see how we work, the boot camps work, the unique features we have, the learning options, part-time and full-time, and you'll see the fees we have. You'll also see the payment options that we have and our success stories and just how to apply. So yeah, that's all about Melsoft. If you want to know more, you can just download prospectus in the comment section. There's a link for you there. So we're gonna move on. Okay, before we dive in, I'm just gonna give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering today, and we're going to start by hearing from our amazing guest speakers about their personal journeys in tech, and we will have a short Q&A sessions in between. So feel free to leave your comments or your questions in the chat as we go along. And then we'll discuss the challenges they've faced and the strategies they've used to overcome them. After that, our speakers will share some invaluable advice. For those of you looking to start or advance your careers in tech, stay tuned. You're going to hear more about that. And then we'll explore on what the future holds for women in tech. And finally, we'll be We'll open the floor for longer Q&A sessions. So if you have any questions, keep them in mind or just pop them in the comment section. And then, yeah, that's all about it. So stick around. And then I'm going to introduce our guest speakers. Three incredible women we have today. So starting with Amkhalang. Amkhalang is a software engineer at Investec with a degree in computer science from the University of Johannesburg. She excels in driving innovative and solving complex challenges. And she's passionate about leveraging technology for impactful solutions. And next we have Matshepo, who is a founder of Empower Her Tech Foundation, an award-winning coder and advocate for diversity. She's been recognized as a Rising Star in Coding Women Award and a Top 15 Young Geeks Awards finalist. That's impressive. She's passionate about fostering inclusion and supporting female coders. And lastly, we have Thobeka Tshabalala, who is a senior software developer at Absa with a background in information systems engineering. She specializes in backend development for financial services. She's passionate about creating efficient solutions and sharing her financial education journey. With that being said, let's get started with our first discussion, the journey into tech. This is always one of the interesting topics actually, because everyone's path in this industry is so unique and our speakers have taken different routes to get to where they are today. So we're gonna hear all about their stories and I'm sure they're gonna be inspiring and insightful. So I'd like to hear from Thobeka. So can you just share a little bit about your background, your educational background, and what inspired you to pursue a career in tech?
Right. So on my side, right, I'll take you back to schooling days. So my schooling days in grade 7, I became fascinated with computers, right? Not knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing, but I became fascinated with computers. And because of that, all I said to myself is, I am going to work with computers one day. Then fast forward, we get into high school and we do LO, and I find out about computer studies, but I wasn't really sure what it is because it's not something that is easily accessible. It's not something that is spoken of a lot. So anyway, I then decided to, through taking these tests, it's either was in accounting or in computer studies, and because of that, I felt like this is the right direction that I'm taking. And what I wanted to do initially was to fix or to open up computers and build computers. That's what I thought I'm going to be doing at some point, right? Then I went into studying at CTI. So that was my institution of choice. When I went to CTI, I got a aptitude test which then took me to a direction of software development instead of the networking and fixing side of things. So because of my marks, I then went into software development. I did not know what it was. I had no idea. I had no background in high school. We didn't have any subject that spoke to computer studies. So then went into CTI, and that's where I got my first degree or first qualification in information systems engineering, and I chose C Sharp as a language of choice. And in that journey, I spent like 1 year, so January to January, that was my year of studying information systems engineering. And yeah, that's my varsity days. Completed that. After completing that, I then started to try and get into the job market. So I don't know if that's how far you want me to go or into the job market, but that's basically my varsity situation in terms of getting into or understanding about software engineering and getting into tech.
Okay, now that I think that will be all for now. We're gonna go to Matshepo and hear about your journey.
Hi everyone. As Mamello did introduce me, I am Matshepo, and me getting into tech was not so straightforward. Because I grew up as a very curious child. I was very curious about anything, everything. I remember back in high school, I wanted to become an advocate, and me in like wanting to pursue law, I started like doing mute court competitions, and winning all of them, and I learned how to actually become well spoken. And then the reality came after matric. When the marks are at taking, they're not going exactly as you planned, and now you're sitting and you're like, where do I go? I got into marketing, something that is completely different from what I wanted. But I was like, okay, let me go to marketing and learn what I can learn. After marketing, I went into retailing. And the reason why I went into retailing was because I wanted to learn more about franchising because I saw myself as a franchise owner one day. And I moved from that. I went into culinary. I became a qualified chef. I worked as a chef at one of a restaurant in Rosebank, Ethos. And that was the end. So this is me actually explaining that like sometimes it's okay to feel like you don't know where you belong because you're still trying to find yourself. Because eventually I just saw one TikTok video that changed my whole life. There's this guy called Boomer. Boomer went live and all I saw was code on the screen and the gaming chairs and all of that, and I was like, I want that. And I got into a school like at Rethink Code, and I remember that me making it to Rethink Code, I don't even know, but I think it's God's grace because I failed all of my tests. Like the boot camp, people that have been to the Rethink Code boot camp know how difficult it is. And I failed all of them, but I still got accepted because they saw the passion that actually she's trying. So that's how it happened just in a space of like 16 months because I started Rethink Code last year in March, and then I finished this year in June, and that's how I got into tech. Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you for sharing, Amukhalang.
Hi everyone. As already introduced, my name is Amogelang, and I'm a recent graduate in computer science and informatics. So in 2020, I dropped out at UFS. I was doing computer systems. I've always wanted the tech path because I googled top paying jobs. A very unrealistic thing to do, but I did that, and I was like, I'm gonna be a software engineer. And I dropped out of UFS because it was too far, and then I started over at UJ, but this time I did computer science and informatics. And last year I did my final year. Around May, that's when I applied for graduate programs. There was this website that I always went to apply for bursaries. So I didn't have funding last year, so I was always looking for a bursary. And I found this website, and that's when I saw the post for Investec's Tech Graduate Program. So this is a 12-month graduate program, but you are permanent from day one, which is an advantage, because unlike most graduate programs, you have to go and figure it out. But in our case, you're just a grad for 12 months, but from next year you are a junior developer. So I applied for that and went through the first interview. I remember I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get in. I didn't have much information about Investec. At the time, I was like it's a bank, and a lot of my friends who knew how big the company is, they were like, it's actually a big deal. And after them telling me that, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get in. Yeah, and then I did the next interview, and it started to get real. And that's when I saw that there's a lot of us. There were so many people. We were like 600 in the first round, and then we got to 49, and currently we are 27. So they take a lot of grads in the tech space every year. And yeah, that's how I got in. Just recently graduated in April. So yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
speaking about that, I'd like to know from the three of you how you dealt with a point in your life, if there was any, where you doubted yourself or you experienced an imposter syndrome, and you felt like you don't belong. How did you deal with that? Okay, we can start with you, Thobeka.
All right. So just to mention, yes. So just to mention, in terms of me starting to work in software development. So, when I finished my first qualification in information systems engineering job, and as I was still waiting for the next interview to come, I actually was approached by CTI in order to work as an exam administrator. So I started off 2 years as an exam administrator, and already I was feeling like maybe I don't belong in this industry already, right? And then when I then went on to go back to after the 2 year period of their contract and bursaries, and now going back again and trying to get into a software development job, I actually was diverted to a project administration role because I had admin experience. And again, it felt like how this industry doesn't want me, you know? So I was in the project admin role. And then within the company, that's when I then got into a software development role. So how I dealt with it, I don't know, but I think I just didn't give up because at some point, someone with influence heard that this person actually wants software development, and that's what they studied. And that's how within that company, my first job was at securities trading and technology. Within that company, I then changed directions from project administration to software development. So in that time already, I felt like I don't belong, but thankfully I got into the industry and then still struggled a bit because we always feel like we need to know 100%. But I think I just kept going for me. That's how in the initial stages, I just kept going, I just kept trying, and until I was in the industry.
Yeah, okay. Okay, just to add on to my question, right? Um, you can just tell us about your first job in tech. Okay, we're gonna move to Matshepo. You're just gonna tell us about your first job in tech and how you dealt with imposter syndrome.
So that question is posed to me, right?
Yes.
I got my first job in a very strange way. Last year I was attending a hackathon, and that's where I met with my current CEO right now. We spoke for a short period of time, and then he randomly came and said that actually I need you in my company. You know, you carry like amazing leadership skills, so I think like your skills might contribute, and that's how I got hired. I didn't attend any interview. I didn't have to sit down and yeah, all of that experience. I just like got hired just like that. I think when coming to imposter syndrome, I experienced it a lot when I was at Rethink Code. Because if you know it, you know that it's a peer-to-peer learning program, and you see people that have been in tech coming into Rethink Code, they are so good. You know, there's no assessment that they don't kill, and all the time they do their work, and then you feel like, am I even supposed to be here? And I remember in like in our second semester, there's a Java like season that actually like makes people to be like so horrible and miserable. And I was part of those people to a point that I felt like I just wanted to let it go and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because no matter how much I tried, the tests were not passing. You know, I think that's what made everything difficult because our curriculum was built in a way that no matter how much your code can function, if all the unit tests are failing, then it's not working. And at the same time, you're running to graduate, and nothing was just making sense. And I ended up like doing this tattoo. I'm so mad at myself right now, you know, for this tattoo because it's a 1% battery low. You know, that's how bad it was. You know, that's how bad it was. And now I look at myself, I'm like, but Nata, but did you know that a tattoo is a permanent thing? You know, because it elaborated the mental state I was in, you know, and yeah, I can say that even now that I have like achieved so much and won multiple hackathons and I am in a good like working environment. I can say that I'm still dealing with imposter syndrome because I never feel like what I'm doing is enough. And I wouldn't stand here and say that this is how you can deal with it. So yeah,
Yeah, imposter syndrome is the worst. It
right.
is. Trust me. Okay, thank you. Halang, can we hear about you?
Yeah, so my journey is a bit weird. I started my degree pregnant and just attending classes, going to campus with a 7 month pregnancy was hectic. That was the reason why I had to drop out at UFS and start over at UJ. So I doubted myself a lot. I think I started believing that I'll finish the degree last year when I was doing my final year. And like it was shocking for me. I'm like, it's record time and I'm here. Okay, like this is not making sense. But for the longest time, I was like, I'd call my parents and be like, yeah, when there are applications for jobs in the military or something, plug me because this is not working. Like every now and then, I'd say that, and it didn't stop. Like even after finishing the qualification, having to start a new job, that it didn't stop. The imposter syndrome actually got worse to the point where I remember shortly after starting, I had to go on a business trip to London with the company, and I didn't enjoy my time in London because the whole time I was not believing that it was I was doubting myself so much that I kept on being like, this is not real, like it doesn't make sense. Like I remember walking to the office one morning and I was just that little black girl, like the only person there who looks like me, and it was like this is not making sense. So that just made things a bit worse until I had conversations with people in the company, different people who told me that you were hired because they saw something in you. Don't doubt it. You've got this. And I worked on myself, worked on just making sure that I excel at what I do because that fulfillment, every time I get a new certificate, if you've checked my LinkedIn, I've got a lot of certificates. So every time I get a new certificate, I become so happy. It's so fulfilling. So I just worked on my skills, just sharpened myself. And yeah, I'd say that's how I've been dealing with imposter syndrome. What was your other question?
No, that's all. I think that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so since we all know that this industry is male dominated, well, not anymore because we are getting in. We're getting in. So, but I believe that there was some challenges that you guys may have faced as a woman in the tech space. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Thobeka?
So first challenge is obviously, do you belong? Because many times I found myself in teams where I'm the only female in the software space, right? So I found myself being the only female for a long time, or there'll be two of us. So that for me, it's a plus, but it could also be a negative because maybe you're not given the more challenging tasks because you're a woman. Maybe there's that not so much of a belief in you because you're a woman, and sometimes it's just unconscious, right? It's not always someone doing it purposely. There are those who have done it purposefully at times,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's not on purpose, and it's just because you're a woman. And how you face those challenges is, yes, I think I've gone on to study a lot. Like I'm a person who studies a lot. I went on to do my BSc IT because I was like, yeah, I need to upgrade myself. So went on to do my BSc IT. But more than anything, I think it's just giving your best foot forward, right? Because another thing that I remember facing was thinking that the next person, because I felt like the next person knows better than me. They know more. They are better coders. I don't know why, but there was a time where I'd always feel like, no, the other person is better, not me. So with that, I think I had to come to a place where I realized that no one knows everything, no one is 100%, and how do I just keep going every day? So those are the small challenges that I think that I faced, And I think just keep going is one of the key things I'll always say. Just keep going, and also just believe in yourself. So I had to find a place where I believe in myself, that you know what, you actually belong, you know what, whatever you're doing matters. So those are the things that I've had to grapple with, and I had to come to terms with.
Matshepo?
So the okay, please just repeat your question again so that I know how to give you the most honest answer.
Okay, I was saying, since this is a male-dominated industry, what are some of the challenges that you come across or you've come across as a woman in the tech space?
Funny how I never came across any challenges that in my experience simply because I am a woman. And reason being, I portray a very strong personality when I am in a workspace. Like I say what I say and I'm confident in what I say, and you're not gonna try to intimidate me. So I really like I become a submissive person to my family and when I get home, but like when I'm there out there, I become like 2 times like stronger than who I am back at home, you know. So I never experienced that because yeah, so it's and the thing is I experienced bullying from women actually and not from men, you know, and it becomes a different thing because men were accommodating and to me, especially to me, I would reach out all the time and they would help all the time, and the same men that people felt like intimidated by them, it's the people that would actually get me like push to be like, you know what, we're gonna do this and you're gonna finish.
Matshepo?
Sorry about that. Yeah, my network was a bit, yeah, but that's what I was saying, that I never had to experience that.
Okay, that's good. I actually haven't. I've never experienced that just because I'm a woman. Yeah. Okay, I'm Halang.
I would say there are very few of us still in the industry, and when Thobeka said she's a senior engineer, I felt so inspired because there are very few women who are in that position. But I haven't really experienced any discrimination because I'm a woman. I'm in a very loving team, and like I'm not even a junior, I'm a grad, but like they treat me like you know your stuff, like
Yeah.
so. I'd say I'm in a very healthy environment. Thank you.
Okay, so Thobeka, I noticed that you started your own podcast. So can you just tell us what inspired you to start that, and what do you hope to achieve with it?
So I have two two things that I'm running at the same time, right? So the one thing is financial education, right? With financial education, I myself got to a point where I was over indebted, and the feeling is we shy away from sharing our stories, right? And that's why other people keep facing the same mistakes, and they also get so over indebted, right? So that's where I came and said, let me just share my experiences. Yes, I might not share numbers and whatever, but if I share my experience, the other person can learn and they don't have to make the same mistake. So that's with financial education, getting to a place where we are healthy, we've got a healthy net worth, not just our bodies, but also our wallets, right? That's one. And then we have another podcast with a colleague of mine, that's Tech Sister. So with Tech Sister, we are saying we still feel like there's not too many women in this space. I remember the one episode we asked each other, but where are the women we graduated with? Or where are the many women that stood on stage and graduated? Where did they end up, right? So we feel like there's still that need for that education for the next woman out there to say, tech is still accessible. We still need more women. There's still space for you. So please take on those tech careers. So that's what inspired it get the word out there that tech is still accessible and how can you access this career. Because like I shared earlier, we probably don't hear about it. Most of us are probably in schools that don't have any tech subject. So we generally don't know about it until you get to varsity. So we just want to get it out there and let the next woman, the next guy, the next young, especially the next young woman out there to come into the industry, because we still need more of you women. We need more. So it's Tech Sister. That's the podcast that we're running from a tech perspective.
That's really a nice initiative. It is.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Matshepo, since you're from a boot camp, um, we would like to know what made you choose a boot camp instead of just going to the university, taking the university route. And what's your experience? What was your experience in the boot camp?
I was not great, doing exceptionally well at school in my varsity time. I would pass with the bare minimum. You know that moment when you're praying that you pass with that 50% right on spot. Because I was not so good with having to take in like theory, right? And as we know that in most of our universities, like it's literally a 50-50 of theory and practicality, right? And I said that I looked at a boot camp and I said that I actually want to code like a guy, and that's where I'm going because I felt like if I go to university, it wouldn't like give me that level of technicality that I actually like got from reading code. Because like in a boot camp at school, there's no textbook, there's nothing. And I remember that my my performance manager, he would always say to us, figure it out. I'm not gonna help you with anything, but just figure it out. I don't care how you're gonna do it, but you're gonna get things together. So at that moment, I was coding like more than 10 hours a day and just trying to make myself feel better. And I remember that the other reason why I also went to a boot camp is to actually be strong technically. And a thing that reflects on how good I am right now compared to where I am was my reminder of where I was with my first hackathon that happened in November. I wrote the most horrible code that didn't even have proper styling, and I learned from it to say that, you know what, I'm going to win other hackathons and I'm going to work on being a good developer. And from there, I started like coding all the time. So that technicality of having like a whole 16 months of just studying, like coding. That's why I chose a boot camp over like going to university, because immediately when I got into the working sector, I was just ready to go. I didn't have to learn a lot and still like have to remember some of the things because I knew what I was doing from the word go. So yeah, that's why I chose a boot camp.
Okay, I feel like you've answered this already, but we have a question from one of our viewers. They're saying, and I think this is directed to you, because they're asking if a degree is the only way to get into tech.
It's not the only way to get into tech. A boot camp, there are boot camps that are out there. It's just they just have two different like learning like ways. In a boot camp, obviously that's where you will be like more technically. In school, what I love more about like going to university is that you learn the deep foundation of where computer science has come from, what is coding, where it's going. Like whereas like in a boot camp, you just get in and you are already fighting, you are already writing unit tests and everything is just too technical. So both of them are so important at the same time. Like a person who wants to really get into tech right now, I would say that rather go to a boot camp, refine like your tech skills, but really do understand where computer science comes from and what it is, and understand the like core concepts of computer science. Because the other thing is that the honest truth is most grad programs, they don't care about your boot camp thing, like banks like Investec and all of that. They just want a graduate that will teach you inside, so it's really up on you as to what you want to do. And like other like boot camps, you can get like the privilege to actually get to work for a bank like that, because like we think code, it has sponsors like many of the sponsors that are in the banking sector that are like, okay, we'll take like both grad and both within code. So yeah, but that's how you can get into tech. You either go to school or you choose a boot camp. Yeah.
So another question we have here is, what advice would you give in terms of subjects for a high school, for a girl in high school that wants to pursue the same career? Anyone can answer that?
Thobeka can answer, or Helen can ask about that.
Um,
Go for
okay.
it, Kelan.
Okay. So just for context, I'm answering this because I am a part of an NGO, a co-founder with my neighbor from back home, and um, one of our core concepts is to assist high school learners with applications and career expos. And oftentimes, most students think you only need maths and science for you to get into tech, for you to study computer science or just anything tech related. And they limit the tech space to just computer science. It's not just that. There's a lot of tech fields, but they all, if you want to be a software engineer, they will all lead you there. So the subjects that you need, I think the primary ones are always maths and science. I'd say a level 5 in maths, a level 5 in English. That's a very that's the entry. And with Mets Lead, I've checked a couple of prospectors. In TUT, they do have Mets Lead. They do offer computer science with Mets Lead. So around level 6, level 7, they do take you. So it's not just limited to the subject, but mostly the quality of the results in terms of like if you've got good grades, you can get into a lot of degrees as long as you can learn. So, yeah.
Okay, so what's been your experience with the job market as a university graduate? And do you have any tips for others in a similar position?
So in my case, I'd say I just had a really lucky year last year. I don't know if that, it was just a lot of things happening at the same time. I had a couple of job offers last year. It could have been that I took my time in refining my CV. I did a whole course on how my CV should be structured as someone with no job experience, because it is real out there. They want the job experience, and I didn't have any. I never did any internships when I was studying. It was hard enough to just study, so I was like, I can't work. And I only had my Udemy courses, my solo learn courses. There's a lot of platforms where you can do free certificates. So I had those. I didn't have solid projects also, which is a bad thing. If you are in varsity, start coding now, start doing those solid projects. I didn't have that, but my CV was proper, and I applied everywhere. Like every day when they post something on the website I used, it's called Graduates 24. It's not just graduates jobs. There's bursaries, jobs for people with grade 12, everything. So I would apply every day. I was in a really bad situation with no funding, so I was more like I can't not apply. So I'd apply for a lot of jobs, and I got a couple of interviews. I did a couple of interviews last year, and um, going into the interview, I'll just do my research, the company. Understanding the company helps you answer the interview questions better. So that's what I did. Knowing how their culture is helps. And I think, yeah, the job market isn't, it's not as bad as people make it out to be, for especially in the tech space. We have a lot of graduate programs. Actually, a lot of companies are offering graduate programs, and they take a lot of students. It's not one or two people. Like I said, in my cohort there's 27 of us just for this year. They're taking another 20 something next year. So every year they do the same thing, and it's not just one company that does this. All the banks I know do it. I know companies like Intellect have graduate programs. Companies like BBD, PwC, Deloitte have graduate programs. So I'd say for the tech space, there is that bridge between being a student and you getting job experience, which is like the grad program. There's a lot of them. So yeah,
So would you say the short courses you took helped you in some way
I'd say
besides your
that.
degree?
Yes. So I did ask the lady who interviewed me that what attracted them in me, and they told me that when they viewed my LinkedIn profile, I had a lot of certificates. So that said, I can do things without being told. So it just showed that my more about my character, that I don't have to wait for other people to tell me to do something. Because I mean, nobody told me to do their certificates. So
Yeah.
that just helped, that this person, when she has a task, she'll complete it. She doesn't have to be monitored, she doesn't have to be babysitted, she can do things on her own. So it really helped.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Thobeka, what is it like being a senior in your field? And what are the challenges that you are facing or rewards?
Okay, so just to speak of the skills that are needed, right? So communication is one, right? So like Amklan mentioned, if you know a company, you can ask the right questions. So curiosity and being able to communicate things. So another thing is we as tech we can speak tech, right? But speaking English, speaking English to people, right? Being able to articulate the things that you are doing, right? That's one thing. Like being able to communicate across, and I think that for me was really something that I learned a lot in the admin space. So like I'm not discounting the route that I took to get here, right? And then there's the concept of the balcony and the dance floor, right? So as a senior, yes, put your head down, do the coding, right? But you also need to get on the balcony and have a wider view of, okay, this piece of work that we are doing here, what value does it add in the bigger scheme of things? So you really need to understand the bigger scheme of things besides just the coding, right? And unfortunately we get so caught up in the coding, like am I
Yeah.
coding, am I unit testing, but you also need to know the bigger picture. That's as a senior. And then also mentorship, right? If grads are coming into your industry, if junior employees are coming into the industry, how are you helping them grow as well? How are you helping them bridge that gap between I'm still at school and I'm actually in the work environment? So those are the type of things that you do as a senior developer. And obviously the challenges is more workload, and sometimes you're expected to know more even if you don't know more. So you might be expected, you might have more expectations on yourself, but more than anything, you can do it. Even though they expect a lot, you can. Yes, you can, right? So yeah, that's more or less what a senior developer is. That's yeah.
Okay, so we have a question here about the certificates. I think this is directed to you, Amkhalang. They're saying, which additional certificates do you think a software engineer should have to gain advantage of getting hired?
um I wouldn't say they're very specific, because I just did anything that was trending. Like, if you're curious about tech, what's happening out there? AI is trending. What is AI? Just you following the trends. But I had a Microsoft Azure certificate, the one that we're currently doing that at work, but mine expired. But yeah, like something like that. I think that's one of the certificates that are important for a software engineer. And just your normal language certificates, learning React, doing the things that you're not being taught at school. Because I didn't do React at school, so I had to do it on my own. So just learning the things that nobody is teaching you at school. It's not really specific. I think just having them in general proves that this person can do things on their own. There's just a lot to learn. I have a certificate for that's called IT, English for IT. And I'm not sure. It really helped though, because like Thobeka said, we speak code, and I just had to learn how to differentiate between the two. And yeah, it's just a lot of certificates. You check out anything that's trending and anything that you think is of value. Nothing is useless. And honestly, knowledge is power always.
Okay, so Matshepo, since you are a bootcamp graduate, how would you describe your experience in the workspace? Did you experience any um biases? Um, yeah, just the treatment in general as a bootcamp grad and not a varsity grad.
I didn't experience any bias because um my boss really wants people that are just technical. You know, when he just wants people that know how to code. He won't like have time to be teaching Matshepo how to do things, you know. So when I got there, I already knew what to do, even though I got there as a business analyst, right? And it really like put my mind in a very like different mental state because I'm just this technical person who just loves writing code. And now I have to do business documentation and business analysis and talk to clients and all of that. Even though I learned a lot from that, it really made me realize that when you really love coding, you will definitely show like that you are so good in it a minute you get given the opportunity. Because the minute I moved away from like BA to get into like straight dev, I just killed it. I was like, you know what, I am so passionate about this and I'm definitely going to do this. So in my current company, we have few people that are actually still completing like their qualification in university, but most of us come from boot camps. So I think I should talk about how difficult it is getting a job. You know, from literally if like because we think code finds a job for you, right? But also you also want to be able to put yourself out there and like really like get into school. I remember there's this DevOps post that I got and they got back to me. They were like, "You've got an interesting CV because I did a lot of DevOps work and I've got a bit of experience in DevOps." And the only reason why they said no was because I didn't have any qualification, like a bachelor or a national diploma in it. And I somehow realized that as much as we might say that boot camp is the way to go, other companies they just want that qualification, you know. So yeah, that was a bit like tricky getting a job like without any qualification, even though my GitHub, it's amazing, like I've got over like 20 projects there and all of that, but it really meant nothing. So yeah.
But then, would you say you regret going the bootcamp route, or was it the right decision for you now that you are
it
in the
was
tech in the working space?
it was the best experience I've ever had because the reason why I'm even where I am, it's because of that boot camp. You know, so let me take you through just a short journey of how I won the Rising Star in Coding Award, right? So whenever they were interviewing me, they were like, "So what have you done that is technical?" And then that's where you have to actually show them your project, and they also want to see a deep understanding of what you're talking about. They ask you like project questions based on what you have built. So like that award was just not about, oh, Matshepo is vocal, Matshepo is there, Matshepo is doing the work in the community, but can she code? Can she really like do the work? So yo, like getting in a boot camp really made me who I am today. I feel like if I didn't go to a boot camp, I wouldn't even be where I am technically. Because it even made me realize that I got a question not so long ago about how were you able to win so much hackathons? And the thing is, do things that matters. Judges don't care if your idea is so amazing, but can the solution work? And getting in a bootcamp really made me learn how to make a solution work. Because whenever you're saying that you have a backend functionality, they want to see the integration and that application working as it is. And I feel like if I didn't go to a bootcamp, I wouldn't have been where I am right now. Yeah, so it's the best decision I've ever done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so um, about the about LinkedIn profiles, how important it is to have your LinkedIn updated and all ready. Okay, Amhelang, you wanna answer this?
Very important. Um, Very important. I set up mine quite late, and I remember it was so empty. And I saw this other friend of mine had a couple of certificates, and I was like, "No ways! I need to get my head in the right direction and start doing some work start looking good, like especially because I didn't have any individual projects. So my LinkedIn had to look good. We had a lot of projects in varsity, and yes, I added those in my CV, but I didn't have ones that were just mine. And LinkedIn was one of the things I think that got me my job. And also when I did my final interview, we had 10 panel members, and because they sent me the names of the people beforehand, I went and looked them up on LinkedIn and knew what all of them were doing and what questions to expect from this person who's a knowledge specialist, from this person who's an architect. And that really helped a lot. So LinkedIn is very important.
Thobeka, do you want to add on that?
Yes, so I echo the sentiments. It's very important. More than anything, like we said, I think we've all shared that the tech space is so broad and there's so many opportunities. And unfortunately, some of them are hiding behind LinkedIn. And because a lot of people don't have LinkedIn, they keep saying there's no jobs, there's no this. But actually, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you've got a brand, someone can see you, someone knows what you're doing, they know what you're about. And who knows, they might reach out to you and maybe your next job is right there, because once you have a LinkedIn profile, you've got a brand. More than anything, explain who you are, what you've done, so that they know what you're about, and probably that's where your next job is sitting. But more importantly, for networking, you get to meet other people. I mean, this opportunity came through LinkedIn, by the way. Why I'm here is because I have a LinkedIn profile that's up to date, that explains what I'm doing. So it's very important for networking, for getting your next job, probably if you are in the job market, but more than anything, connecting with people in the tech space as well. I mean, we probably feel like there's not enough women in the workspace because we are not connecting with the right women because we don't have a LinkedIn profile. So it's very important to have a LinkedIn profile.
Speaking of LinkedIn, at Melsoft Academy, we actually have a specific course about it. It's called job readiness course. So that's where we're gonna prepare you. Um, we're gonna show you how to move around, update your LinkedIn, get ready for your interviews and all that. Yeah, Melsoft Academy is offering that. I'm just putting it out there for the guys that are watching. If you are interested in, or if you don't know where to start, how to go about it, we do offer that. So we have another question here. It says, is it worth it looking for an internship while you are still working on your coding skills? Anyone?
Say yes. Yes, I did. I myself didn't go through an internship, but I'd say yes, because sometimes there are places that are actually open to take you on while you're still studying. So why not? And also you get to learn, at least you get an early foot in terms of bridging the gap between I'm still a student and I'm working. So you get that early access to the work environment, to the corporate world, and then you're able to at least fast pace your career, you know? So yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I'd like to know, and the viewers would like to know, how do you guys keep your confidence and motivation, especially when you're experiencing things like burnout and you feel like you just lack productivity in what you do?
So, with me on my side, right, my motivation towards hard work, I think it's how I grew up and my family background, right? Because I really didn't grow up like going to multiracial school. I'm not a trust fund baby. I grew up in the hardest way because I don't even have both parents, right?
Okay, we'll just wait a bit for her. Or should we move?
I'm
Oh,
so sorry
okay.
about that. It's my network again. As I was saying, I just told myself that I want to be the change that I want to see in my family. So each and everything that I do, I always tell myself that you are going to become that amazing person. Because later I just launched my company, and I made it to a book written 100 influential women in tech. And when I look at the space of like 16 months ago, I've just arrived, and then now I'm considered as like part of 100 women that are influential. What am I saying to my family? What am I saying to the upcoming kids? So it's really hard, but as long as I don't see like any progress in my family, especially from a financial perspective, then I don't think that I'm gonna rest. So that's what keeps me going over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking because I actually was going through a burnout like a month ago, and I just had to find ways to fight it and get back on track, like doing some exercise just to clear my mind. And I know we deal with these kind of setbacks in a different way, so it's just so interesting to hear how other people are dealing with it. So, Thobeka, can we hear how you deal with things like burnout?
Right. So on my side, I am very intentional about mental health or how I keep abreast, right? So I always share the story, and it's funny, but it's something that helps, right? So I once shared with someone that actually there was a time in my work life where I needed to take a day off, and I literally slept the whole day, like literally sleeping, waking up. And that's because my body needed it, right? So intentional in mental health is for me exercising. I need to make sure I've exercised before I start my day. If I don't do it, you can tell, man, the energy levels are not so great. And then I also go for a massage when my body needs it, right? So when your body needs it, go for that massage. Also, yes, we sometimes work overtime because we've got deadlines and so forth and so forth. But if ever your body is tired and you do need that rest in between, log off from your laptop, get the rest, you'll thank yourself. So one thing I've learned recently where they say don't see rest as something you deserve, see rest as something that you must do. So you really must be active in your rest. So they say, I think it's Helen Nicholson in her book. She says, know what's your pause. What's your pause at the end of the day? What's your stop at the end of the week? What's your end of the, I think it's end of the chapter at the end of the month? How do you end the month? What tells your body that your mind needs to slow down, right? So, and then for me, one thing is I've got Saturday Sabbath. So Saturday Sabbath, I don't work on Sabbath at all. So that for me is that reset period. So have time for reset, exercise, eat healthy, feed your body well, as much as possible, sleep enough. We don't do it enough, but as much as possible, sleep enough so that you your body can have the energy it needs to get through the day. So for me, it's just being intentional about your mental health. Be intentional about what you're doing to your body that needs to carry you and help you work. So yeah, I hope this helps someone.
I also learned
It
something.
helps me, Thobeka. It really helps me. Thank you so
Even
much. I
me.
needed to hear that. You.
Yes, thank you,
Now I know
Thobeka.
that actually on Saturdays take a break. You know, you
Yes,
deserve
yes,
it. Yeah, it's helping.
yeah. We know now that rest is not something you deserve, it's something you need. Yeah, yeah. Amogelang?
Um, so having just started my journey, like in terms of working recently, I'd say I experienced burnout back in varsity, um, not now, not yet with work. But in varsity, yeah, varsity is hectic. Besides just the studies, just being away from home and everything. And in my case, I left home leaving a 6-month-old baby, and that was a lot. Just adjusting to that, and also just the adjusting to the fact that I had a baby as well was like a lot for me because one, I grew up as a smart child, went to public schools and everything, but I was like, that top of the class, like as much as like not another person expected it, but I also didn't expect it. Something like that was more like me, and I had like very high expectations of myself and just adjusting to that. But um, all of that kept me going. It was more like I can't fail. Like my baby is growing up without a mother. I can't fail. Imagine 10 years later, I go back home with no degree, and he's like, "You weren't in my childhood," and I'm like, "I was studying." He's like, "I don't see it." So it was like I have to produce the results, and also just the fact that I was that little girl who like seemed like she had a bright future. I owed it to her. I was like, there's no way. Like it doesn't make sense that I don't become someone. Like there's no way. And just with my parents and them helping me with my baby, everybody in the family pitching in. With that, they never said anything to me like that. Like they were like, "You going to school?" Like my parents were like, "Okay, we hear you, but are you going to school?" My mom literally said, "You're going with that big belly of yours. You're gonna go to school." And I did. I'm glad I did. I never took a gap year. Like she was like, "You're going," and I couldn't quit. So every time I felt like I can't do this anymore, I just thought of them. That there's so many people who are sacrificing for me. My parents now are. They had to be parents to a little baby. Me being the last born, imagine that was like so long ago. So that like now they have to adjust to raising a baby because of me. So I owed it to them to like get my degree and finish. Like I owed it to my son, I owed it to myself, and yeah, I think that's how I dealt with university burnout. Right now, maybe I don't get burnout because I really prioritize my mental health. Like Thobeka said, and self care. I'm like, no, I don't work on weekends unless I really have to. But so far, I haven't had to work on weekends. Um, but I do prioritize my mental health. I every Saturday mornings are for coffee. I go to a different restaurant and drink my cappuccino, and I take videos, just document my life. I do my I make my hair products. I just try so hard to just stay away from work, and I sleep also. My family knows this. I put my phone on do not disturb. I will disappear for 13 hours. Like I sleep. So I think yeah, Thobeka really summed it up. Get the rest and prioritize your mental health. Yeah.
Thank you. Matshepo, we all know that, oh well, other people don't know that, but a boot camp is full of projects, just building projects, building. It's more building than theory. So, how did you manage that? How did you manage, um, yeah, the building of projects one after the
Yeah.
other, the workload?
Nothing made sense. Yo, nothing made sense. I can still recall that I was asking myself that what am I even doing? Because the workload, it comes in like after 2 weeks, you're doing a different project. You didn't get time to adjust to the previous one to actually understand what is happening. But like when I did mobile app development, that's when it started making sense. Because I feel like what bootcamp does is that it builds your logical thought and it teaches you how to become a programmer. A minute like your logic is so firm, and then you are able to be like able to solve any problem, because honestly, like in software engineering, we are just solving problems, like by writing code, right? So yeah, like it never made sense. I didn't even understand why I was doing Java. I didn't even understand why do I even have to do it until I got to mobile development, where I actually was coding like an application like an Uber. And when I reflected back to the project that they were doing when they were teaching us about separation of concerns, because back then I would write one line of file that is so big that has an HTML and JavaScript and CSS mixed in. Now that like that whole thing, a memo that they taught us back then, it started making sense. So like I felt lost in most cases. I never understood what I was doing. I even felt like, you know what, let me just leave this. But immediately when it was the end of the road, then I was like, I now understand why it was so hard. Because honestly speaking, I don't wanna lie, I feel like even why Thobeka is where she is And I feel like the most impressive part about her is that she's a backend developer. We all know how technical backend is. Backend is so hard, like, but she made it. And
Yeah.
in order for her to make it, she had to go through the confusion and trying to figure out things to be like, okay, but why is this happening like this? Why are we supposed to implement this logic the way it is? So, like in most cases, I just felt lost, but it eventually made sense. So, because I feel like most people that get into boot camps, they might be like, maybe I'm wasting my money, but you're not. You're in the right place, but you have to go through what you are going through. Yeah.
So, what would you say is different between you, a bootcamp grad, and a varsity grad in the workspace? Since you coming from a project building background, and they coming from most theory, would you say there's a difference? There's a clear difference between you and them?
There is a big difference because practicality teaches you that what is emphasized on theory, it's a bit different from the code that you're actually going to write. Because I remember the first time I wrote a function, and I was so happy in my bootcamp. I was like, a function is 1, 2, 3. But when I was coding it, I was like, it's not making sense. Like going to a boot camp, it emphasized on the theory that is there on the books that like this is a function and that's just how you build it. Because what is different right now, I feel like what's different from me right now is that I can literally build an app in 7 days without even like hesitating or having to refer back to the books because I had to learn it in the hard way. I had to learn it and the code was breaking and I didn't understand what is happening. But like I implemented that OOP because it didn't make sense. I feel like if I read it from a textbook perspective, what OOP is, I wouldn't be able to properly comprehend what it is right now in like the technical world. So like I can say that what is an advantage to me is that everything revolves in technicality. Immediately when I'm given like a description of what I'm able to do, I'm already thinking about the software principles because I feel like that's one thing that is also not mentioned because no matter the amount of code that you're writing, a bootcamp forces and emphasizing on the like writing the core and the basic like cleanest code ever in coding rather than writing it from a theoretical perspective. So I learned like the most software principles through like my coding, and now when I get a description I'm like, okay, let me just get on it and do it. So the technical background, it's just enlarged and there's nothing that I literally cannot do. And also just to close my statement, you come out of a boot camp as a full stack engineer. First time you're doing front end and you're asking yourself, but how does front end and back end get in like correspond? And then in the midst of everything, that's when you're going to learn that actually this is the back end logic of this application. You start understanding and everything, you look at it from a technical perspective. 1 minute they like just deploy something. So it gives you a very like large like growth, technical growth, because you get in the space like knowing what is what and all of that. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying on that. One last question on this for you, Matshepo. What would you say to, because we often hear people talking about how impossible it is to be a software developer just within months. Because yeah, that's what we hear, that it's not possible for you to become a full stack, especially a full stack developer, in few months. What would you say on that?
It is possible. I feel like when they say it's impossible, they're coming from a perspective of like the whole like full stack dev in 6 months. Because that 6 months, maybe that is the 6 months that you're actually gonna learn front end, and the other 6 months is the 6 months that you're gonna learn back end, and 2 months you're gonna learn cloud. But it is possible because remember that like software development is front end. As long as you are able to understand what front end developers do, and front end is so hard. Because people just think a website is just a website and they see like web applications like Mukuru, like doing buttons functioning the way they are functioning. But people actually are able to make it in 6 months because you invest most of your time trying to understand what these numbers are supposed to do. what these words are supposed to do. So it's easy to get demotivated and say that I don't see this happening in 6 months. I won't lie and say that in 6 months it's fully possible. It builds a foundation in that moment. That's when it starts making sense that, okay, this is where I started and I'm going somewhere. But it is very much possible. I didn't like coming from someone, I didn't even do science in high school. I didn't do maths lit, but right now I'm able to comprehend the difficult logic of building applications. Because how I felt honestly when I got to reading code, I felt like maybe I'm not good because I didn't do maths core, you know, or pure maths. And I was like, actually, people that did pure maths are able to understand, but a person who just did maths lead was able to understand based on practicality and just practicing. So this is just based on hard work and coding and also taking care of yourself. Because honestly, don't be like me. I would be lying if I would say that I'm not burnt out. And I code like from Monday until Sunday, and it's not normal. And like when Amukelang and Thobeka are talking about their Saturdays of chilling and all of that, and I feel guilty because I'm like, Matshepo, if you are not working, you are doing like your coding stuff, you're in a hackathons and all of that. Be ambitious, but remember to take care of yourself. Don't be like me, cause whoa, you I feel like I need to take a break now, yeah, and take care of myself. Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give to women that are just starting out in the tech industry? Thobeka?
So for this one, I'd say, so there's three things. Be curious, right? So the industry changes a lot. So just be curious about what's happening out there. Learn new skills if you have to, because like just figure out, there's a concept called reading the room. Like figure out what's happening in the tech space and actually get yourself upskilled in those spaces, right? And then don't fear failure. So software development is failing and trying, failing and trying. It's trial and error, right? And they say the people who do not fail is because they did not try anything. So don't fear failure, and that's where innovation comes, right? With trying and failing, you innovate something you never know, right? And then the other thing is you will never be 100%. Don't put pressure on yourself to feel like you need to be 100%, you need to know everything. You will never know everything. You learn every day in the tech space. Every day is a learning curve. I'm laughing when Matshepo said front end is hard. I've always been a back end developer. I'm trying to transition into front end, and I feel like why am I doing this to myself? But it's needed because I need to keep learning. I need to upskill myself, and also I just need to understand both sides. Why not? If the opportunity arises to understand both the front end and the back end, why not? So be curious always. So yeah, that's just a few things.
While we're still on that, there's actually a question directed to you, Thobeka. It reads, as a senior, what advice would you give to a junior entering the tech workspace for the first time?
So for a junior entering the tech space for the first time, it does feel overwhelming, right? When you enter that space and people are just, that typing that people are just doing this, and you feel like I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know what I need to do. So it can be overwhelming. Just try your best to latch on to those people and understand what they are doing. But more than anything, I think the be curious part, right? Try, fail as much as possible, because that's how you will learn, all right? And like, again, it's overwhelming. You feel like everyone knows everything. But trust me, we use Google a lot as tech people. We use Google a lot. So use your Google. They always said at some point, Google is the answer. Use your Google, find out what you need to find out and learn. So keep learning. Don't stop learning because you're now in the industry. Keep learning. Learn from those around you, learn from the internet, learn from peers, network, and I think that's how you get far. But like, do the work, get your hands dirty. Don't fear to do the work because you feel like you don't know anything. Do the work, you will get there.
Thank you. Amukelang, any advice you have for women that are just starting out in tech?
Thobeka was speaking to me as well because I'm just starting in tech. But most of the things you said, I actually wrote them down as a reflection of how I wish I had known these things earlier. The whole networking, and it's a slogan at Investec that relationships are your currency, and they're not lying. If you want to get things done fast, you need to talk to people. Just networking, that really helps. And I actually have around 5 designated senior engineers that I go to. So I've got different senior engineers for different problems. I'm like, yeah, if I bother this one person about things all day, then they're gonna burn out. So I've got different people that I go to, and that helps me a lot because I get to do things faster. But I attempt them on my own before, and if I can't figure it out, then I go and ask questions. So that the relationship currency really works, and just also knowing that nobody knows everything. I think that one is like a big, that's like big on your self-esteem, big on your confidence, and also your progress. Because if you're always feeling down, you're not gonna make it. So like just understanding that all these people who seem like they know everything now, it's because they've had all these years to actually understand the work that they're doing, and that's why they're able to tell you the things that they like. These are how our pipelines work, all of these things. This is a unit test, this is a cypress test, all of those things, because they've had the time to learn all of those things. And another one is just understanding the why. Like, I feel, at least for me, if I know why I'm doing something, it, it it makes more sense for me to do it. I'm motivated to do it. Just those, the people who are dealing with maybe who are more stakeholder faced, people who gather the requirements, just having those conversations with those people and understanding why we're working on this piece, what it's going to do for the client for us to have this piece, how it's going to benefit the business. And then you're like, okay, like this is serious, like this is serious things, I need to do this. Like, just understanding why you're doing something, and I think that can drive your passion.
Okay, one last question. What do you guys think about AI? Thobeka? Oh, Matshepo, are you saying something?
Um, AI is a great tool for making your development process very quick. But the problem that one can do is relying on AI a lot, right? Because AI is like a senior dev. Go there when you know you've tried. Because the more you start relying on it, we have like reviews, personal reviews, and where someone just sits down with you and try to understand like your code, and the minute you cannot articulate yourself in that, it becomes a problem, especially if it comes like from a perspective where you took it from AI. So as much as like it is able to give you all the answers that you need, as Amkhalang says, have the why. Why am I doing this? Why is this function not working? Why did this code break here? Let me try fixing it right now and just like continue. If I fail, then I will go and utilize AI. Because what I realized is that in my company, they have even like started introducing AI to us developers by introducing us to an IDE called Kesa AI. So it's able to literally analyze the whole code, and it makes the whole development process quicker. But if you get too comfortable relying on it, then you're never gonna like get to advance. Because I feel like Thobeka, when I look at her, I understand the importance and how much she fought to be where she is, because the time she was trying to grind, going up from being a junior dev, AI was not that advanced. So these are the real heroes that had to actually understand what coding is and had to figure things out. Because with us, I'm like, ChatGPT, please come here, but like really do have a deep understanding of what you're doing, because these things are gonna come in technical interviews. You're gonna write all of these amazing programming languages to say that I know React Native, I know Java, but when they ask about Java related questions and then you're not clueless because you rely too much on AI. But do introduce it in your development life, but don't be too reliable on it. Yeah.
Okay. Thobeka, you have something to say?
I definitely agree with the sentiments. Like, do the work first, try it out, and really go there after you've tried. Because it's like what they say: if you ask AI the wrong type of question, you will not get the right type of answer, right? But if you've tried something and actually know what exactly you want to ask, you'll get the right response, right? So generally, there's a notion of then putting everything on AI, taking everything, copying and paste. But if you don't understand what it's about, then chances are you're not growing. You're just doing the work, you're just passing your unit test, but you don't know what you did and why it works the way it works. So I generally share the sentiments around know your why, try first, understand, even if you're copying it from there, understand what this piece of work is doing, how it fits into what you're doing. So again, it's a nice tool to help fast track sometimes if you're stuck. I think we had Stack Overflow for some time. Now there's AI. It's a nice tool to fast track you in terms of getting your work done quicker, but don't rely on it. Understand what you're doing, know why you're doing what you're doing, and be very cognizant about what you put in there. Don't copy sensitive passwords and stuff like that and put it into AI, because that puts the company in danger and stuff like that. So be careful how you use it. Know what to ask it. Know why you're asking it. Know why you are copying what you're copying and how it fits in.
Amakhalan, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I agree with Thobeka, especially on security. But in my case, I'd say, yes, I do have like the advantage of AI a bit, but Investec, you will not access anything like that with our laptops or things. It's all blocked. So we have our own version of ChatGPT in the building, and that is very moderated. You must know that. So you can't have a bot do your work. You have to know how to do your work. It's not gonna happen. You will not copy any data anyway. Um, but also, I find AI very interesting. When I did my interviews last year, they told us they were building their own version of ChatGPT, and I was so intrigued. It's one of the things that got me hooked on the company. And this year, I actually sat with the team that worked on it. I asked a bit questions, how it works, and all of that. And currently, I'm working on my grad project, and we're using AI. So Microsoft Copilot has like a more advanced feature where you can build your own chatbot. So if you want to look into that, you can. So we're building our own version, like a mini chatbot to push to our website. You can publish that anywhere, and that has been like very very interesting for me. Like I enjoy the whole training ed. Like if you're saying this, stop saying this, say that instead. Just feeding it information. So it's for me it's a very interesting topic, and um, I'm not scared of it. No, I don't think it's gonna take my job. It's not there yet, but it's just a tool that can help me do my job better. And I like that Investec has limited that you just over abusing it. I can't do that, especially for somebody who's starting off. That's really good for me because then I get to learn. So yeah, AI is
We actually realized that a lot of people don't know about AI. I don't know how that is possible, but it is possible. So there's gonna be workshops talking about AI and teaching people about AI, and we just hope they don't abuse it. Please, guys, take advice from these three women. Do not abuse AI and just know what you're doing. So we're coming to the upskilling part. Matshepo, since you come from the boot camp, how important do you think upskilling yourself is? Since you do not have any varsity background, how important it
It,
is?
it's very important because I remember when I was studying for AWS Cloud certificate, what I had in mind is that how can I possibly stand out? You know, because the honest truth is that we think we all do the same thing, but what's special about you? Like, why should we choose you? Because I remember in our cohort, like there are 500 people that attended the boot camp and only 50 got selected. But like, what makes you special from other like 50? So I just thought about it that just be good in everything, and it's not gonna be a thing that you wake up tomorrow and you're good in cloud and all of that. But the curiosity that comes also from failing, as Thobeka said, I think with me, it's what like really pushed me to say that just upskill yourself, because you need to understand the dynamics of getting a job from a boot camp. Like, it's really not going to be on the same scale compared to someone who comes from varsity, obviously. But do what you can do to always be the best candidate. And what we forget that is most important is that people forget to focus on their cultural skills, because tech is all about technicality and all of that. We always look forward to killing the technical assessment, but how you articulate yourself and how you deliver yourself to people also matters. I think it's what I was also going to say under the topic of what you would say to women that are in tech, like recently. And what I can say is that learn how to speak. It doesn't have to be English or like, but learn how to say your word as proper as it is so that another person can explain, it can understand, because being so well spoken can actually open many doors for you. I was thinking to myself that if I like literally end up in a situation where I have kids, I will actually take them for those public speaking like competitions, because the minute you start being confident in talking, it's easy for you to actually articulate yourself in every way. So besides like being too good technically, also learn how to speak to people and conversate and all of that. So yeah, because I did go through also like courses on how to actually present yourself to people whilst you ensuring that you still like make sense a lot. So yeah.
Okay, so from the varsity perspective, Amogelang, how important is it to upskill yourself? Would you say, is there a necessity for you to upskill yourself, even though you have your degree and you have your few short courses? How important is it?
Our space isn't like other spaces. Like your qualification does matter; it can get you there, but it's not what's gonna keep you there. You need the skill. Um, I don't think it's too important for you to keep on getting more degrees. If you want to do that, you can. But once you get there, you need the skill to stay there. It's not just the qualifications. So you need to upskill, you need to learn the craft, you need to understand the code base, you need to network, all of those things that any other person has to do. So your qualification can get you there, but it's not gonna keep you. If you're not upskilling, yeah, the tech space is evolving too fast. So you need to also stay on track and upskill yourself.
So, Thobeka, you've been in the industry for more than, well, for a long time than any of us here. So, can you tell us, are you still upskilling yourself? Is it still important for you, or yeah, can you just tell us about that?
Well, well, you're speaking to a person who learns. I'm an avid learner. I'm always learning, forever learning, because it's important, right? It's forever important. So from a tech perspective, right? Like Amogelang has shared, right? You've got your degree, you are in the industry. You've done your boot camp, you are in the industry, right? Then what must keep you there? Firstly, you work with people. So how are you in terms of your soft skills? All right. How are your soft skills? How do you relate to people? Because you cannot just walk into the office and then be grumpy and then, you need to know how to communicate with people. So work on your soft skills, upskill on that. Firstly, in terms of the and then in terms of the tech skills, right? Align with your industry. So corporates always have a strategy. Corporates have a strategy to say, for example, we are moving to the cloud, right? Because the strategy in the corporate space is saying we are moving to the cloud, upskill in that, right? Because cloud technologies, from what I still remember, were not taught in varsity and whatever. So upskill yourself in those certifications, or find groups of networking sessions within your corporate space that speak to cloud technologies where you can learn. So in terms of tech, upskill yourself according to the strategy, but most importantly, your soft skills. Make sure you work on your soft skills, because you deal with people, and the culture within the organization drives how people show up. So really upskill yourself there. And then for me, what's been important, especially in a senior environment, is being able to understand the full environment of the business that I work. So not just the small space that I work in, but also the bigger space. So I've also gone on to study a course in the business industry, where we now talking finances, accounting, and all that, because all that matters. As much as we are coding, it matters what's happening with the finances in the company, because it's also up to me to ensure that we limit costs and all of that. So for me, it's always to upskill, and maybe when I get to the next level, there's more upskilling that I need to do, because it calls for a different me to show up, you know. So it depends how you want to show up in your industry, and it's so important. Like for me, it's way up there, because I'm that person who's like constantly, I'm doing leadership courses, I'm doing soft skill courses, I'm doing certification or joining groups that are cloud. Recently I did the Deep Racer, which is something totally different to what I'm doing. So always look out for those opportunities to learn, and it's so important for yourself, personal growth, and for your career.
Would you say it took you a long time or short time to get where you are today, to be a senior?
I think it took me too long. I didn't believe in myself enough early. So I wish I believed in myself early enough, then I would have been further along. But I didn't believe in myself enough early on, which is why at some point I moved from just being a software dev, and I took a role that was more junior, because I'm thinking, let me go down to go up, because I didn't believe in myself. So I wish I believed in myself earlier, and I think I would have gotten here much quicker, and maybe I would have been further. So yeah, it took very long, but I appreciate all the experiences that I've gained along the way.
So Matshepo, how is it starting your own company without a tech degree?
It's the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. You know, firstly, because when you start a company and you have a solution, right? Remember that you have to go through incubation where they validate your point. That is, are you solving a problem in this space? And people that are about to invest in your company, knowing that you're actually part of the developing people, it makes the operational cost like a bit lesser, because you will be like, okay, I have built 50% of this app, so I'll need few devs to also like finish like the application. So it really like comes as an advantage, because honestly, like and I feel like what made it easy for me, right? It's being able to talk, because I had a pitch last week Wednesday. It went left because I've been in cases where I speak a lot, but there I was trembling, because right now, remember that you are auditioning for money. It's only money that you want. You need to convince these people so much. And I cried so much after that call. And I was like, I called my brother, I called my sister. I told them that, you know what, I don't think that this it was a success. And then they got back to me on Friday to say that actually, congratulations, you actually made it, right? And it really emphasized a lot on make people believe what you say, right? Because that's how opportunities really open up. Make share like your vision, and whenever you even explain things to people, explain like you're explaining to a 5-year-old, so that you can share the same vision like all together. But like being a woman and being a founder is the most amazing thing that you can ever think of, because I was thinking about it last week, right? Because a lot of things happen and I get a lot of achievements and it gets overwhelming. I even like forget to congratulate myself. And then this other time I got like an invite from AWS. It was a different one, because they said to me, you are invited to be part of the executive leadership suite at the AWS summit. That's when it actually started sinking in, to say that, okay, I'm the person that I think I am. But the conflicting part is that it's difficult to become a CEO of a company if you're still working for someone, because they still gonna feel like you're not giving them like the full like efforts. They're just gonna feel like you literally providing the bare minimum. So literally right now I'm in a difficult position where I really have to choose where I actually want to be, because I love working for someone, and at the same time I've got that, guys, let's get it working, we need to make this company a success. But yeah, it hasn't been such a difficult thing, because honestly, whatever idea that you have, make sure that is always solving a problem. And that, like, there are people that will tell you to let go of your dreams, because I remember my brother told me, like, in a very like from a positive perspective, and said that I really don't think that what you're going to do will work. Just let it go and come up with another idea. And then at that moment I was like, but it felt like I gave birth to this idea, and I said that I'm going to fight for it. So there are other like incubation programs that people can try. There's another one called Founders Institute. It is an international incubation program that has like a lot of funders, like and investors, angel investors like Elon Musk and all of that. And you can get yourself into that network just by searching Founders Institute. And networking goes a long way when you're a CEO, because you might not know who might open the door that you want tomorrow. So even though we do have that little bit of introversy, go out there and talk to people. It won't make sense right now, but it will eventually make sense when you start like running the company successfully. But everything is going so well on my side right now.
What would you
Yeah.
say is the nicest thing about being a founder?
Having responsibility over everything that is happening, because I grew up as a leader in high school. I was part of something called GEMBEM, which is a girls and boys educational movement, and I became a chairperson for 5 years. So can you imagine how difficult it is to lead a person who has been a leader for so long, and just having the author, the ability to feed other families, because that's where my core like a priority is right now, because I understand where other people come from. Besides me being a founder, I relate with another person, because I've hosted like a few of interviews trying to get the best talent into the field. And all I ask them is that, tell me about where you come from. I don't want to hear the generic, like, a, I am a goal driven person, but tell me where you come from so that I can relate with you. So I feel like feeding more families makes more sense to me, because each and every day when I sleep, I think of how can I make sure that these families get fed. That is the best part of me being a founder. Yeah.
So, guys, how important is it to attend tech networking events?
It is important. Does anyone have an answer besides that? Nah, like it is important, because the how I met Larry is through, like, think about the scale of how I met people. Like, I met someone in a event that is supposed to be like an hackathon, and also like engages with what is this thing, coding and all of that. And then that person makes you meet another person, and that person makes you meet another person. Matshepo might say, actually, Mamello, I know someone who's actually will help you with this. So attending these events, as strange as it may feel, on Friday I was attending another like event for founders, 250 founders, and I felt so out of world, because you see people talking, but you have to become a bigger person and go and say hi to someone that you feel like they have potential, because that might be your next year co-founder. Because the other important thing is that they mentioned that find a co-founder that is that has the same like understanding of what you're doing, the way you are, the way you do things. And that's the problem that I'm having right now. It's difficult finding a co-founder, because people might not be sharing the same perspective as you do. But think about me going to a tech event and finding a best co-founder there, simply because I'm choosing to talk to someone. So they really open doors for you, and you get to build a network. There's a say that says that your network is your net worth. So yeah, let's work on attending those events, guys. The AWS summit is happening next week, Thursday. Like, people need to be there. That's where you're gonna meet amazing people. It's just unfortunate it's on a Thursday. Other people that are working their companies may not allow to go for them to go there. But if you do have the opportunity, just attend there. You will meet a lot of amazing people. So yeah.
Yeah, speaking of events, even Melsoft Academy host networking events now and then. Just people will just check out uh, our social media channels on TikTok, Facebook. We announce there whenever we have an event. Thobeka, what would you say about tech networking events?
I'd say they're very important. And like again, speaking to the fact that of not believing in myself early, I don't think I've attended enough, but the importance of it because you meet the next person. It might not even be from a tech perspective. It might be a person who'd open opportunities for you at some point in the future or even so they're very important because it's where you meet someone who might open the opportunity for you or you yourself might open opportunity for someone, right? What if your company is looking for females in tech, right? Maybe you might not find them on the traditional way, but maybe you might find someone who actually has the skills that you need. Maybe they can come for an interview and you never know. You have such a great person working in your company. So you can either be a connector, you can either be the one who gets connected to other opportunities. So they're very important and more especially for females, you know, that's where you get to see that there are more females in tech because in our small bubble, there's a very limited number, but out there, there are so many people and you get to meet other females in tech, get to brainstorm ideas, see how people do things. Even in your workspaces, don't get stuck working. Attend the networking events, even in your workspaces, because again, you might meet people who do things differently, learn new coding practices, learn new business analysis techniques. Like there's so much you can learn from just talking to someone. Just say hi, and I promise you the next will come. It'll come.
Amukela?
Yeah, I think Thobeka summed it up. And I'm in an organization that is very big on relationships. So for me, this was like one of the first things we had when we started working, that relationships are your currency. And like I said, it has been working. I pay with that relationship currency. I'm like, if I need help with AI, I know who to contact. If I need help with this, I know who to contact. Then I attend all the guilds. I attend the SDFs, all the things that I need to attend and understand what I'm working with more. Because as a person who's still new into the business, there's so much I don't know. So I don't skip them. So I attend everything. My calendar is packed.
Okay, I think this is the last question. Oh, we have a question. It reads, "Hi, I'd like to know if anyone on the panel is available to be a mentor, and if so, how can we reach out?"
So your best bet is LinkedIn. So reach out on LinkedIn. And I think as a person wanting a mentor, just be clear on what you want out of the relationship, and then the best person would mentor you. Yeah, but LinkedIn is the best place.
True. That's important, Thobeka, because they might want something that you cannot offer and another person can offer. So yeah, you just go to like our LinkedIn and let us know that this is what I want. If I cannot, maybe I'm Khalangu and or Thobeka will. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is the last question. What advice would you give to, let's say, people that are still in high school but do not know what to do after? What advice would you give to those people? Or, or if even if it's not schoolers, just anyone in general that do not know what to do. Uh, some do not know even what tech is or what's in there, and they just want to switch, or they just want to change but do not know what to do. What advice would you give to those people? Can you start with the schoolers? those that are still in high school. Matric, especially if we do have matrics in this life.
So for me, I think I'd want to understand, are you saying people in matric wanting to get into tech or any industry?
Um, some of them
Specifically tech.
don't. Some of them don't even know that what tech is,
Mm,
or they don't know. Maybe just give advice.
okay.
Maybe what tech is. Yeah, what it has for them.
All right. So in the tech industry, yes, we've spoken a lot about software development, and I think it's because of the fact that we are all software developers, right? But in the tech space, there are industries, or there are careers in the tech space like business analysis. It's not technical at all. If you feel like you want to be in the tech industry, but you're not a technical person, you're more of a person who writes, who gets requirements, you can get into a business analysis role, right? There is testing, there's software testing. Yes, software testing needs you to have a bit more understanding, a little bit of technical understanding, but you probably won't be doing too much coding. So in that way, you'll be able to test what the developers are putting in there. You'll be able to test and break the system so that we fix it and it's much better for the client, right? And then we have project managers. Project management is a very important role because this person needs to be a go-between and needs to ensure that we finish the project on time. Again, you don't need to be too technical when you are in that role. So those are the top three that I'll speak of. There's architecture. Architecture is very technical. For a long time, architecture just went over my head, but architecture is very important because we need to understand what goes where, what are the pieces that we are building, and why we are building the things. So there's those careers, and I see cybersecurity is becoming big. Those on TikTok, those on YouTube, use those channels to look up those things because a lot of people are speaking about their careers. It's so nice. We live in a digital age where people are speaking about these careers. So use those channels for looking up these careers that I've just mentioned, and maybe you'll see which one you fit in and which one you'd like to go into. So yeah, just the top 5 that I can think of.
Anyone want to say something about that? Okay. Anything you'd like to say? Any advice to the people that are watching before we close up?
Don't stop being curious. There's so much power that goes into like you being curious, and do not be afraid of starting that business. Honestly, and don't think your family is gonna be the first people to support you or your friends, but understand who really needs to be part of that. But the curiosity, if you literally become curious and you put yourself out there, then it's really gonna work out for you. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Don't be afraid of those failures. They all build us, as Thobeka said, but be curious. You're gonna learn a lot and you're going to achieve a lot from your curiosity. Yeah. Don't forget to pray.
Yeah,
Yeah, and don't forget to pray. Yeah, he has plans for us, and he says when the right time comes, the Lord will make it happen. So yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
So in closing, just I echo the same sentiment. Be curious. Tech is big. Please don't be scared of getting into tech. You don't need to be too technical at times. Like I said, there are career parts where you don't need to be technical, and it's opening up. There are so many careers. Be curious. Don't be scared. Just start, as they say. Just start, and then you'll never know. And I think the most important one we've touched on: network, network, network. If you see an event that has people in tech, or if you see an event and you don't know what you're going to do there, just go there to meet new people, write down phone numbers, reach out to the people, and you never know what doors it will open for you. And please use LinkedIn. It's very powerful. It's important. Use it, update it, and you never know what opportunities may come from there. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Um, I would say just walk towards it. And this is in a sense of just all the things that you're attracting, just walk towards all those good things. So for you to be watching this tech space is attracted to you right now, and you're watching this, you're getting information, walk towards that, go do more research on that. Um, I walked towards my TikTok journey that I've been so scared to start, and a follower on TikTok actually got me here because they were like, I like your content and I would like you to be a guest speaker. And all of those things that scare us, it's usually the things that scare you that actually matter. So just walking towards it, walk towards all those things that scare you, do it.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for all the questions, and I hope you found the answers helpful and inspiring. But before we wrap up, I want to share an opportunity with you guys, the people that are watching. If any of you are interested in taking your tech skills to the next level, as I've mentioned before, Melsoft Academy offers fantastic bootcamps um, at a fee. We got courses in software development, cybersecurity, and UI UX design. The programs run for 6 to 12 months. And if you're interested, you can click on the application link in the comment section, and one of our student advisors will reach out to you with all the details that you need. And you can also download our prospectus to learn more of what we offer. And finally, I want to express my deepest gratitude to our incredible guest speakers for sharing their journey and insights. And for all of you guys, just for joining us tonight, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting this webinar, and I actually learned a lot. And I hope you guys at home have learned, and all your curiosity was answered. And I hope you're living here with new ideas, you're living with new connections, you're living with an inspiration. Thank you again, and I hope to see you at our future events. Have a wonderful night.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.